Hi, now for something completely different. Today I'm at home. I walked for 4 days from Temple 1 to Temple 17, and I live not too far from Temple 17, so I'm at home. I'm going to rest for a few days and have my retirement party tomorrow, and also move. I'm moving from this apartment to another one not too far away. It's easy for me to do this because this pilgrimage, unlike other major pilgrimages in the world, is a circle. It goes around the island of Shikoku, visiting 88 numbered temples and 20 other numbered temples and some other temples and shrines and a lot of other things of interest along the way. This pilgrimage is done in memory of a Buddhist monk called Kobo Daishi, who lived in the 8th and 9th centuries. He's the one who founded the Shingon branch of Buddhism. And when I say the pilgrimage is done in memory of him, it's actually, in a sense, done with him. This hat I've been wearing says here, Do Go Ni Nin, two people traveling together. Some people will translate as two people practicing together, which is basically the same thing, since the word practice, as you know, in Buddhism is used for pursuing a path towards understanding yourself and Buddhism better. So he visited many of these temples. He's credited as the founder of many of these temples. And his image is shown in all of the temples. At least now it is. In the past it wasn't. But now at each of the temples, as you'll see when you see more of the videos in detail, there are two main halls. One hall is dedicated to one of the Buddhas or Bodhisattvas who celebrated in many variations of Buddhism, and also one hall dedicated specifically to Kobo Daishi. And as you've seen in the videos, and as you'll see in more detail, people will pray at both of these halls at each of the temples. They'll recite the Heart Sutra, which I'll get into a lot later. I'll get into all of these things later, don't worry. Today I wanted to give you sort of a background about the pilgrimage. Kobo Daishi died in 835, and sometime later, no one knows really when, some priests and monks would visit places associated with his life on this island of Shikoku, his birthplace, the place where he studied calligraphy with his uncle, and various temples that he founded or were founded in his name. Also, places associated with his autobiography where he talked about having enlightening experiences. Gradually, this developed into a pilgrimage around the whole island. And in the 18th century, I think it was, guidebooks started appearing telling people where to go, where to find these islands, and eventually numbering the temples. The temple numbered 1 happens to be the one closest to the port of Naruto. Pilgrims coming from the main island of Honshu would arrive at the port of Naruto and go to the first temple associated with the pilgrimage. That is thus Temple 1, where I started out 5 days ago. Pilgrims will start from number 1, usually go in order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way around to 88. Then back to Temple 10, then back to Temple 1. The whole route is about 1,100 kilometers, roughly 700 US miles, and takes, well, it depends how fast you go. If you walk, it typically takes around 42, 45 days. Many people will visit extra temples. It might take them 50 or 60 days. But that's for walking. These days, most people don't walk. Most people go by bus tour, so they'll take about 10 days to go around and see all the temples. They don't necessarily start with number 1. They don't necessarily go in the exact order. They visit all the temples, and traditionally, you go back to wherever you started so you complete the circle. These days, walking pilgrims will go from 1 to 88 to 1, but the bus pilgrims go whatever is convenient for the bus company coming from different parts of Japan. Some people also go by bicycle, which is wonderful. I've done most of the route by bicycle, all of the route by car, parts of it by train or bus, and all of it walking twice 26 years ago. So now I'm on my third walking pilgrimage. There are advantages and disadvantages to walking. One advantage, of course, is you feel being out in nature more. A disadvantage is that you're not always in what you think of as a natural place. The route follows the path from temple to temple, which in the past was a place that everybody walked, but now it's a place that everybody drives. So most of the time you're walking along a street or a road. Now most of these are out in the country or in small villages and very nice, as you've seen from the videos. But sometimes you walk through a city. There are 4 fairly big cities on Shikoku, and the route goes through all 4 of them. You can avoid going right through downtown if you want, but most pilgrims walk through downtown if they're walking, go shopping, go to some nice restaurants, do whatever people do in their regular daily lives. In fact, I like to think of doing the pilgrimage as a kind of blend of what some people will think of as the sacred and some people will think of as the profane. Often in Buddhist teachings, people talk about getting rid of the idea of duality, getting rid of the idea of sacred and profane. In fact, in the Heart Sutra, which, as I said, everybody chants at least twice at every temple, it says, nothing is pure, nothing is defiled, nothing can increase, nothing can decrease. This Buddhist idea that if you're thinking of this and that as 2 completely different things, you're not really thinking clearly in Buddhist terms. I'll be happy to talk more about Buddhism in other videos, but really what I want to know is what you would like me to talk about. I can certainly show you beautiful pictures from the route, but also on the days when I'm not walking, I'll be happy to talk about Buddhism and Japan, anything you'd like, or talk about walking, which I think is one of the greatest things people do. Speaking about the different ways to do the pilgrimage, as I said, these days most people take bus tours, but as Japan ages, some people are really getting too old for the bus tours, even if they'd like to go, and a lot of people have fulfilled their ambition by going. I think at the high point a few years ago, about 100,000 people a year were going around the island by bus. Now, according to priests at some of the temples, that's dropped by about 30%. Well, that's all I wanted to talk about today. I'll talk some more about the pilgrimage and this kind of Buddhism, Shingon Buddhism, tomorrow. And I'll continue with these backgrounders the next few days. Then probably on Wednesday, I'll head off on the trail again, starting with Temple 18, since I left off at Temple 17. And I'll continue for 5 or probably 6 weeks going around this time around. Then I'll rest for a few days. Then I'll go around again. So please join me day after day.